go to heaven, goats go to hell.
Hey, WinWin. So you wanted to know what, as atheists, well, I can only speak for myself, but as an atheist, what do I believe in regards to souls? I think a lot of people use the term soul metaphorically, and I completely agree with that idea of a soul. It's it's sort of a synonym for the mind. In that sense, yes, of course, I believe in a soul. Consciousness is another synonym, another way that people use the term soul metaphorically, and I believe in that. The real question, I think, is, can your mind, your consciousness, can that survive your death? And I would say that the evidence doesn't support that. I can't say conclusively that the soul does not exist, but the evidence in regards to whether it exists or it doesn't, it seems to me like it probably doesn't. Now, of course, I really don't know. I can't say one way or the other. I won't know until I'm dead, really. And if there is no soul, then I won't know, because I won't be able to obtain that knowledge. So, if there is no soul, I'll never know. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I have no problem with that. If there is a soul, then I'll know after I'm dead. But to me, that almost sounds nonsensical, because to me, knowledge is a function of the physical properties of our brain. So to know something after your brain has stopped working, it doesn't make sense to me, unless the brain is a physical byproduct of what we would call the soul, in which case then soul as this sort of immaterial thing, and I'm getting totally metaphysical here, and this is of course there's anything that I'm talking about, there's no scientific basis for believing any of this stuff. It's complete hypothesizing. But if there's something external of the physical that can somehow influence the physical, and in our case, that that comes through as our physical brain. I suppose that's a possibility, but it seems unlikely, and it seems like it's sort of a complex way of explaining something that we have a fairly, not really simple, but a much more easily understandable explanation for why that occurs. It's almost like we're making things up that have no basis in evidence in order to support old beliefs that we're not willing to let go of. The existence of souls, the existence of an afterlife, and the existence of God, I think, falls into that category too. A lot of people, oh well, I don't believe in Christianity, I don't believe in the Bible, but God is definitely there. Well, how are you defining God? And usually there's some sort of abstract definition for what they believe God is. That's pretty much what I believe. Or rather, it's not so much a belief. It's more like this is what I'm fairly certain to be true, and this is what could possibly be true, but is unlikely. And I don't really, I guess I haven't really made any belief claims in regards to the soul or even God, really. I kind of feel about God the same way, although I don't remember who it was. I think it was Aldous Huxley or somebody like that, claimed that they were a tooth fairy atheist, or sorry, tooth fairy agnostic, rather, which is basically like what today we would call an atheist. You know, they were an agnostic about God the same way that they were an agnostic about the tooth fairy. You know, the possibility of the tooth fairy existing is unlikely, but in order to keep a very scientific view of the world, you have to be agnostic about that. And that's why agnostic today kind of has the same connotation, or it has agnostic today has a separate connotation to, you know, instead of being a halfway point between atheist and theist, it's this separate position altogether. It has to do with a position of belief, or sorry, agnostic has to do with a position of knowledge, whereas atheist or theist has to do with a position of belief. I believe there is no God. I have no belief in a God. I have no reason to believe in a God. But ultimately, the knowledge of God existing is unknowable. You know, as the concept of God is defined. And I would say the idea of a soul is pretty much on par with the idea of God. What I used to believe in God, you know, what God was, I used to believe in reincarnation and God, who I also just sometimes called the divine when I didn't want to associate myself with the whole Judeo-Christian idea of what God was. God, or the divine, was this the ultimate consciousness of the universe, and I believed in reincarnation in a sense of where that consciousness broke off, didn't really break off, but it was able to exist in the physical world by causing these bodies to evolve into a conscious state, and was able to experience physical reality. And reincarnation was sort of an evolutionary process. It was souls evolving into the point at which we are today, and probably into a higher point in the future. This is as I've analyzed this, I found that it's kind of a complicated way of explaining something. Like I said before, it's a complicated way of holding on to ideas that we had in the past that we really don't have any use for anymore. It makes us feel special, and it's sort of this idea, you know, an idea of a soul and the afterlife. It's comforting. We don't know what it's like not to exist, and so that's scary for us. Although Mark Twain said once something to the effect of, "I'm not afraid to die because I was dead for an eternity before my birth. So I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And I mean, it's basically a state of non-existence. You came from a state of non-existence, and you're going to wind up in a state of non-existence, and there's really no reason to fear that. And that's pretty much all I have to say. See you guys later.